Good morning, Turfs Up Radio. Wayne Voles, Profits Unlimited, coming to you live from Louisville, Kentucky.
Yes, indeedy.
Oh, my goodness. There is this sphere in the sky that I'm not sure what the hell it is, but anyway, haven't seen it for a while. Oh, it popped out a little bit here and there yesterday, but I mean, we got some nice sunshine going on, man. It's hard to believe. It is out and about in Louisville. Who knows how long? I hope you guys are experiencing some nice weather as well where you're at, because we had a pretty off and on rainy day yesterday, like rain in the morning, then a couple hours, and rain again around lunchtime for a couple hours, and then rain again last night. It's like rain, rain, go away. Oh my goodness. But anyways, hope your week's going good. Here we are on this hump day, Wednesday. Again, we've rode around. It's hard to believe we're rolling through. I mean, first of all, this is new territory for me. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Wednesday during the summer is normally my go to the lake grocery day. And I'm telling you, I'm missing it. I mean, lake season this year has been zero. We're trying to pretend like we're getting ready to go, but I mean, we're shut out to at least August 1st. So I was joking the other day. I said, I don't know what I'm going to do on Wednesdays. I don't know what I'm going to do for my weekends. This is the first Memorial Day. First, and yeah, you're right, Katie. I'm gonna have a mental breakdown for long, but I don't know. It's crazy. It's just crazy not having the life support system of Green River Lakes helping me out. But anyways, we'll make it. Business is surviving, and that's all that really matters. Because without that, none of it happens. So we're glad that the business is rocking and rolling along. But I sure am missing my lake time. And, maybe that's it, because we talk about it all the time, how important, that free time and recharge time is. But, man, I'll tell you what, I am missing it. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, Aaron, if that'll work for me, quite honestly. Aaron said, try camping on the Ohio River. There's a lot of pretty cool spots, that we can go to. So, I don't know. I might look that up. On the other hand, my camper doesn't, it's not very, let's put it this way. My RV is directionally challenged. It's just used to going one way, So I don't know, but I don't know what we're going to end up doing. I don't know if we're going to throw the towel in, like Rocky, and say, hey, man, we need to figure it out and start it again, or what we're going to do. But we'll do something. But, it it is what it is. But that's where we're at with it. So yeah, yeah. I hear you, Craig. I appreciate that. Craig says extra time on Wednesday equals longer shows for profit time. I appreciate that, Craig, coming to my buddy there in North Carolina, Charlotte area. So hope everything's going well for you guys down that way. Weather's been crazy for each and every one of us. I mean, I know you guys have had crazy weather. We've had crazy weather. It's been a crazy weather pattern. Um, I'm not sure if Matt's hopping on with us today with BAM weather or not. I hope so. But I did reach out to him this morning and shot him an email. So just depending on what they got going on, he's pretty good about hopping on if he can. And if not, we'll certainly see about getting him on Friday with us. But yeah, it's Wednesday. It's Hump Day. It's May 21st. Yesterday was Bill Day, our favorite day at WLS, the 20th of every month. That's right. That's when those invoices go ding, get shot out of here, just like they're getting shot out of a gun, man. And we're not going to talk about that today, but y'all know we've talked about it plenty. But why we do our invoicing on the 20th and not the 30th. It's a lot of logistical reasons as far as our cash flow goes, is what it amounts to. So, yeah, we're looking forward to a great show today. Got a lot of things planned to talk about here. Looking forward to your all's interaction as always. And want to give a big shout out to my bestest buddies who are on their way to Florida for the long weekend, a long weekend or extended weekend, however you want to talk about it. That's Timmy and Robin Hamilton. They are on their way to Panama City with some friends, Barbara and Chuck. They're riding along too. So, damn, I can't believe they left me behind, but they did. So, anyways, no, actually, I just got outranked, is what happened here. With WLS, I got outranked. Kyle's going to be out of town, and Katie's diving out of town next week late too. So, anyways, it's just overlapping time away. Thank goodness I got Katie and Daniel going to be here. Kyle is going to have a well deserved week off next week. He's leaving Friday. He's going to always say the wrong place, Hilton Head. They're going to Hilton Head. Their family really loves it down there. So looking forward to him getting away and getting down there and doing their thing down there. They always have a great time with that, and they got some friends going with them. So wish them a great time is really what I'm hoping for. So Katie's kind of preparing for her trip. Took the car over for a detail cleanup. Kyle got new tires and oil changed and all that pre-trip maintenance we all like to do before we go somewhere. Kind of like your business, right? We got a lot of preventive maintenance goes a long way. So I'm a big fan of that on anything, all equipment, and yourself, Most importantly, yourself. And that's where lake season came in for me. That was preventive mental maintenance and the recharge time that we all get. But hey, Timmy and Robin, I wish you all the best of time, a safe trip. I'm sure they're probably rolling. They left yesterday afternoon, and they sent me a picture to kind of rub it in a little bit. But that's all right. I'd have done the same daggone thing. So I wish all four of them the best of luck. They're going to have a great time, no doubt about it. But oh, Lord, I hear you, Seth. Good morning to you, too. Seth says he's not sure if it's just him, but feels like we ought to be well into June. Uh, absolutely. My gosh, let's see. Craig says, nerdy North Carolina fun fact of the day. Charlotte is in Mecklenburg County. Yesterday was the 250th anniversary of Mech Deck Day. What do you think of that? Say that. Yeah, Katie, I agree. Katie said, say that 5 times fast. On May 20th, 1775, here's a fun fact. Residents of Mecklenburg County declared their independence from the British. It was signed more than a year earlier than the Declaration of Independence. So every May 20th, there is a Mech Deck Day. That's cool. That's really cool. Never heard that before. That's why it's so cool to have you guys all over the country listening and, sharing stuff like that, man. That's cool. I'm going to go to I've been to North Carolina and South Carolina doing seminars. I've been to almost every state doing seminars, but the problem is I don't get to see many of them. I get to see an airport. I fly in or drive in, get to the airport or get to the dealer where we're doing our presentation, and then turn around and go back the next day, come back home. So, people say, "Oh, you ever been there?" Yeah, I've been there. Yeah, I've been to Charlotte, I've been to New Bern, I've been all over the East Coast, and like I said, almost I think 35 states we've done our presentations in 2 countries. And the reality of it is I can't really say other than things I've done for vacation that I've seen much of it. Hershey, Pennsylvania was a cool place to go. By the way, Doug, if you're listening to us or listening to us on a replay, that was really cool. Did a presentation up there, and he talked a very rural community. But the cool thing about Hershey, Pennsylvania was the streetlights were Hershey Kisses. And so that was pretty cool. But it was a very small community. But I don't think how I got off on that tangent, but we did. But anyways, hey, everybody. Point is, let's have a great day. We can't control the weather, but we can control our attitude. We can control is the glass. There we go. I was going to say half ass. Is the glass half empty or glass half full? Or the other perspective is where's the glass? And hopefully none of us are saying that. I mean, hell, we feel like that sometimes, no doubt. But anyways, hey, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with more Profit Time here on Turfs Up Radio. Your industry, your station. Don't you go anywhere. Joe Dunbar, Smoking Joe, who hurt himself Saturday, going underneath the tree on a lawnmower and messed his hand up. He was getting surgery on his hand today. Said it wasn't going to be too crazy of an event, but still, anytime you're getting surgery, man, you worry about it and you think about it and that whole thing. So good luck on getting, I think he was getting a pin in his middle finger, he said, to help realign his finger. So, hope get that done, and I'm sure he'll post something about it when he's finished. He's pretty good about keeping people posted up on Facebook. So be glad to hear how that goes for him, and looking forward to a speedy recovery for him. And it's incidents like that help you come around and look at what's important for you know to your business, to yourself personally, and generally, what it boils down to, the most important thing is you, you and your health, and keeping yourself in better health, if you will. And I'm not preaching, because man, I was the world's worst. I fooled with my hip about a decade too long, quite honestly, before I did something about it. So this ain't the pot calling the kettle black. This is saying, hey, Joe, I'm proud of you getting that hand dealt with the right way right off the bat, so you can get yourself back to normal. And that's what we all need to think about is, what can we do to get dealt with and get ourselves back to normal sooner rather than later. So glad to see you're doing that and hope that goes well for you. So one thing I did want to talk about too, just for a second, was for you guys that are in a profit circle with us. Our Zoom meeting is tomorrow, Thursday, May 22nd at 7 p.m. Look forward to having you guys in there. We're going to have an awesome presentation tomorrow. Again, that's Thursday at 7 p.m. Derek Decker with Edward Jones Investments is going to talk to us. And whether you want to invest $20 a week or 20,000 a week or anything in between. I mean, it's up to you, but he's just going to talk about advantages and disadvantages. This is not a sales pitch in any way, shape, or form, but just to help all of us understand the opportunities potentially that are out there for us in the market that we're currently in. Good, bad, or indifferent, that depends on you, but would love to have anybody. If you're not a member of the Profit Circle, go ahead and hop on there. You can get in there with us. 7-day free trial. You get in, you got 100% access to all of our videos, all of our content. It's exclusive content there within the Profit Circle that's not out there on our regular other social media and YouTube channels and things like that. So love to have you. Just go to our website. That's Profits Are Us. That's profits, AREUS.com, and get in there with us. We'd love to have you, regardless of what business you're in. So it's small business talk is what it amounts to, and we have a lot of people in different industries talk about different things. So we'd love to have you in there with us. And as we move along today, I wanted to talk a little bit about phone calls again and ask you guys and see what's happening across the country for you guys phone call wise. I know we've talked about it, but I'm just going to kind of keep up on it just a little bit, if you will, to see how things are going, in different markets and how it's affecting, whether you're in the Southeast or Northeast or Northwest or, wherever, Midwest, wherever you're at. How's the phone going for you? And when I say phone, just leads in general, whether they're coming in through your website or whether, it's phone calls coming in, however you're getting your leads, how's that happening for you guys? Because for us, our volume is down some, no doubt about it. But also, honestly, the other day we were talking about it a little bit, and we were saying that what's not down, or what's the type of calls we were getting were not so great calls, and after further evaluation of that, realistically, even those calls are down some. When I say that, I mean like one-time mow calls. People, and it seems like the one-time mowing calls have certainly went on longer than normal. But I think that's strictly because of the weather we've had here in Louisville, Kentucky, and a lot of parts of the country. It's been so wet, and equipment dealers and servicing dealers are behind on, getting things out residentially, that they can't, these people are still having problems where when they do get their mowers back, they can't get through the grass due to the density. So yeah, I don't know. It's different. Let's see what we got here. Dun, 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 dun. Lots of So we got, let's see, a lot of one-time mow calls and website leads. Let's see. Had a handful of, my guy decided to make a career change and I desperately need somebody. Mike said that's what's kind of went his way. Absolutely. So Aaron said his calls are down a little bit. So we'll see what's happening. I know one thing: we're not giving up on advertising. Actually, we're throwing more money at that than we have or did last year to make the phone ring. We've had that discussion on the importance of that. When things slow down, the last thing you want to do is stop or slow down with your advertising and marketing dollars. Because hey, we've talked about it, but we're going to say it again. When things are slow, it's a smaller pool potentially of customers out there, right? So you've got to keep your name out there. Don't say, well, man, I don't have the money to spend on it. You need to find the money to spend on it and get it from somewhere else. Rob it from somewhere else in your budget, if you will, and put the money toward the marketing and advertising. Just you've got to keep your name out there. So it is what it is, and it'll be okay. It's everything's cyclical. That's what we all got to remember. It doesn't matter what kind of business you're in, but things are cyclical. It's up, down, and the valleys suck, but the peaks are great, and in between you row. So that's the reality of it. But and speaking of customers and phone calls, Craig, I think he's listening to us now as well, but he sent me something this morning, and he started it out with, sometimes customers are the problem. And I would like to say I agree 100% with that, and would like to get your all's input on that as well. The It's not always our fault. Now, it is our problem sometimes, or most of the time, but the reality of it is, true that the valleys are a swamp. Absolutely, they are. So, but sometimes the customer is the problem. And, Craig said he had the lady call in yesterday and canceled service due to quality. And he went out, took some pictures, sent me the pictures as well. And I trust Craig even without the pictures. But the reality of it is, the yard looked fine. The edging was fine. It was just the yard to the naked eye looking at it in a picture. I didn't see any problems with the yard. Craig said he didn't see any real problems with the yard. So I don't know. It kind of makes you wonder the customer's perspective. Now, part of it says, well, ask the customer, and I'm sure he has dealt with the customer on it. But I think really what we need to think about too is sometimes no matter what you do for a client, and it doesn't matter what business you're in, whether it's like Timmy and Robin in the hydraulics and welding business, or my buddy John Stuber who's got dog kennels, or any of us in irrigation, lighting, landscaping, mowing, whatever it may be, sometimes backflips aren't enough. And the customer is the problem. And I think the takeaway for most of us, or what I would like the takeaway to be for most of us here today, is obviously we want to try to be a solutionist for our customers. But I think maybe more important than being a solutionist to our customers and trying to figure out, okay, what's it going to take to get it right? Sometimes what it's going to take to get it right is firing the customer before the customer fires you. And I don't know what type of relationship there was prior to this customer calling and canceling, but normally they don't cancel right away. Normally they lead up to the cancel with, this isn't right. Come look at this. I need you to see this. And then after two or three of those or four of those or some number of those events, they cancel. But know that maybe here's the lesson: be more proactive on you firing a client. Because sometimes and you guys have heard me say this many times, the most profitable thing you will ever do is fire a client. I mean, you just got to think about what service it is that you're providing. And in a mowing situation, okay, that's going to be the least profitable thing you offer from your service offerings in most cases. A lot of guys don't believe that or think that, but those are just the ones that don't know the true numbers. And for those that do, will tell you that all day long. That, you know, mowing, yes, it's profitable or can be profitable, but due to the overhead that's involved with mowing, the trucks, the trailers, the lawnmowers, the string trimmers, the blowers, the edgers, the labor, all those things that get involved in it, and then a very competitive marketplace, it becomes one of the least or the least profitable thing for most companies. And that's why you got to be willing to fire a customer sooner rather than later. You know, let's see. Look at some of these texts we've got here. Be a solution for the customer, yes, but also be a representative for our industry. If that means education and by firing professionally, of course, then so be it. Absolutely. That's what it amounts to. Try to resolve it, but after you've tried 627 times, not literally, but multiple times, it all goes back to that 95-5 rule. And I don't know if that's the proper percentage, but that's what we always say, that 5% of your customers are 95% of your problems. So those are the ones that we need to fix. Those are the ones that we need to fix. So that's what we got to look at. So we got to, let's see what we got to, can get a more. All righty then. Let's see. Ding, 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 ding. Yes, indeedy. We got the pictures rolling in here. Yeah. So that's that. Appreciate those. Man, you guys are awesome on your text and pictures today, to say the least. But anyway, getting back to Craig's situation here, I feel like you do, Craig. It's good riddance, and that's just what it amounts to. So on that note, let's take a short break, and we'll be right back with more Profit Time here on Turfs Up Radio. Craig, again, as we wrap that up with your segment today, I think sometimes the customer is the problem, but it goes back to, it might not be our fault, but it is our problem. So fire the customer. I mean, they fired you in this case, and we all get fired, but sometimes we try to save them too long, so, and not all calls are good calls. We talked about how's phone calls coming and that whole thing for you. I've got something I want to play here on a message that we had here in our office yesterday. Let me pause this thing real quick. But we came in yesterday, and this was the message that was left for us. And I know you guys can appreciate this for sure. So here we go.
Robert JAZZMA.
Good morning. My name is Jasmine Strobert. I'm calling with Green Wood Star Property Management. I was calling to see if you guys did service multifamily. We do have a few properties. It is scattered site, a total of 348 units. So it's small properties, just kind of spread out. They are in the west end of Louisville. We wanted to see if we could get quotes on getting the lawns mowed. What we're looking for is twice a month, bi-weekly cuts, and edging. None of the additional. We don't need landscaping or weed pulling or anything like that. Just cutting the lawn bi-weekly and maybe like a month contract if you guys offer that. We're just looking around for some pricing and things like that. If you could just give me a call back at 502-641-9126. I'll also shoot you guys over an email with the list of the properties, and that way you guys can see that and let us know if you can service us. Thank you so much. You have a wonderful day.
To repeat message.
So there we go. A message. We got a few properties, 348 lawns. Now, first of all, I want to say that she was very kind, very professional with the message that was left. But secondly, there's not, first of all, or let's go first of all, there's not a lot of companies that could put on 348 accounts at one time. The logistics of that doesn't, I mean, I don't know if they've thought that out, quite honestly. I mean, now they're not huge properties for you guys that aren't in the city of Louisville. First of all, let me go back and say for you guys that are in the city of Louisville that may be listening to us, feel free to reach out to us and be happy to give you that number if you didn't catch it, to give them a call. But nothing about that call sounded appealing to us at WLS. First of all, I don't want 348 calls or 348 jobs with one customer. That's number one. Secondly, bi-weekly cuts, 348 bi-weekly cuts. So every other week, you got to figure out how you're going to separate 348 jobs out of your other jobs that you've got that you're doing. That's where the problematic side comes of that. You're putting all your eggs, and for some companies, that would be putting all your eggs in one basket. You know, could we take on 348 counts at once? Absolutely, we could. I mean, we've got the network of subcontractors and our own that, yeah, we could divvy up those accounts and get them done. But a job like that, a biweekly mow, a month-to-month contract, first of all, I'm not going to look, or we're not paying anybody to go look at 348 jobs. I mean, can you just imagine the logistics of that? So now what a contractor is going to do, it is guess at it. So my whole point of sharing that with you all, excuse me, is this. Although they were very professional in the message, and I can see why they were trying to find somebody, I truly believe that it's going to be in their best interest to split that contract up to multiple providers. That'd be my suggestion to them. Now, I didn't take the time to call them back and tell them how to run their business because they're obviously a management company and they're not going to listen anyway. But I really think it would be in their best interest to take 350 lawns and divide it into a minimum of 5 or 6 contractors. Just from now, that means, yeah, they got to deal with 6 contractors, but it's a whole lot easier management dealing with multiple contractors to me in that situation than it would be trying to manage one chuck in a truck. And this is the kind of person that's going to respond to that, because I don't think anybody that's of any history or background or been in business a while is going to want those lawns on a biweekly basis, a month-to-month contract. So you really don't have much in hand anyway with that. And maybe the worst part of it, and they were transparent enough to tell us that there's not going to be any other services. There's not going to be mulching, no trimming, no fert and weed. So it's all about mowing twice a month, and that's all. So that goes back to not all opportunities are a good opportunity, because what that potentially is going to turn into is the same problem Craig had of getting fired later. So let's don't put all of our eggs in one basket. If you're a contractor in Louisville and you want to do it, do it. There's the phone number. If you didn't catch it, reach out to me. I'd be happy to give you the phone number on it. But even though, and my whole point of sharing that, well, several points of sharing it, and I've discussed a lot of it, but I want to reiterate another one, is just the fact that even though we're wanting phone calls now, we got to be selective on the types of calls that we're going to say, oh yeah, let's take a look at that. Don't be happy the phone rings. We want the phone to ring with a better lead, and be willing to prioritize those estimates. In our case, this isn't a matter of prioritizing that estimate, because we're not even going to submit a proposal on it. But like we talked about around here, yesterday with it was, what we would do would be look at a few of them, and get a base price on these things, and have a first mow price on a time and material kind of job. Now the good thing is there's no material. The time's going to be based on the height of the grass. So first cuts are going to be basically an open PO, but they're not going to give you an open PO on that many accounts. And I can understand why. First of all, they don't know the company they're working with. We don't know them. They don't know us. They don't know you. You don't know them. Whatever. They've had some type of relationship with somebody that hasn't worked out. And it may be because they're trying to have, going back to one contractor doing all those facilities. And the reality of it is there's not too many people that can take on that capacity here in Louisville, Kentucky. Just to say, oh yeah, let's add 350 accounts. So let's see what this has got. See what do you think those managers know that companies like yours actually won't do the job, but they don't know where Chuck in a truck is at, and know you would know and give him his contact? That, I don't know, Aaron. You know what? That might be a point that, hey, giving them a referral on somebody else. That may be it. That could very well be it. That's a good point. So basically, Aaron's thought is, hey, they don't know how to find somebody else, because the person that's going to think that's a good opportunity is going to probably not have the online presence and spending the money to get that lead generation from them. So now I'm not saying that's not going, that no small companies spend time on lead generation. I'm not saying that at all. But Aaron's point may be well taken, that, hey, they can't find somebody to do it, so they're reaching out for a referral from somebody. So that very well could be the case. So Yeah, very well could be. Corey says, month to month and a little crying face, smiley face, that's it. I mean, nothing about it's a good deal. That's why I said in their best interest, the best thing they could do is segregate it into smaller bites, if you will. Hey, maybe, somebody can implement 50 accounts much easier than they can do 350 accounts. So that's just my 2 cents worth on it. But I wanted to share that with you kind of as a line, from going to, hey, how's your phone ringing? Is your phone ringing? What type of leads are you getting? And, customers that are canceling because of quality issues, or maybe they're justified quality issues, maybe they're not justified quality invoices. But then when the phone does ring, you get something like that. I had another one yesterday that was pretty crazy that I went on, and we actually did a little video on it. I don't know if Daniel's going to put it out or not. He was really just doing a video for me because I said, my God, I want to do a video on that, but maybe it'll be out, maybe it won't in the profit circle. I don't know. But it was more of a kind of like, God, Kyle made a really good point. I went to see this guy yesterday, going back to phone calls, right? Guy's selling his house. Him and his wife are selling their house. And I get there and they're wanting to make it look better to sell it, the curb appeal, when you pull up. And the whole time this guy's talking to me, he's like, hey, just use your professional judgment, here, excuse me. Utilize your professional judgment. And so when I start utilizing my professional judgment and talking to him, he's like, and so I tested what he was telling me. This is the sales side coming out, okay? I was testing what he was telling me with questions. And I had a suggestion about leveling up a hedgerow that he had, some of which that hedge was under a tree canopy. So it was about 1.5 feet shorter than the part of the hedgerow that came out of the tree canopy. And I asked him, I said, hey, for curb appeal standpoint, do you want us to try to get that more even? So when somebody pulls up, it looks even, and rather than the way it looks right now, looking like a cell phone commercial. How they used to have the lines, the tires, the lines coming down from tallest to short. And that's the way these bushes look. And he's like, well, I'm not so sure my wife would like that. And after 2 or 3 different times, that was the third time he said that to me. Well, I'm not so sure my wife would like that. After he had repeatedly told me to use my professional judgment, I said, well, do you think your wife would come out and walk around with us? And he said, well, she's busy inside. And that was another red flag to me, that, okay, here's what's going to happen. We're going to potentially get this job, and we're potentially going to be called back multiple times because it's not the way the wife wanted it. If in fact he really had a wife, I don't know. I'll assume he's telling me the truth, right? But it seemed like she was the decision maker. And at my business meeting, I didn't have the decision maker telling me what they really wanted. And so what it boiled down to, and I'm talking to Kyle about this, this is really kind of funny, but I'll share it with you guys. Kyle said, well, did you ever ask him about a budget? Hey, what do you want to spend on this? Because they had a few things potentially that they wanted taken out, some new things put in. And I said, you know what, Kyle? No, I never asked the guy, hey, what do y'all want to spend on this? And he said, well, why not? I said, I swear this is true. I said, I had to pee and I didn't want a whole lot more conversation. I needed to leave. And Kyle and everybody here started laughing and said, oh my God, write that excuse down. And that's really what it was, It was an excuse that I used not to ask the proverbial question that should have been asked after 3 of those objections that I received from him, about pricing, because he was consistent about, I don't know if my wife will like it. and we're just wanting to spend as little as we can spend, the proper sales procedure would have been, hey, what kind of budget do you have in mind? Then we can talk about what we can do. And if I had to do all over again, that's the way the conversation would have went. But it didn't. And another thing that he said a couple times was, I want an itemized list of, what you're going to do. And keep in mind, I know y'all have no idea about this project and the size of it. It was very small. I mean, it really was. It was, I think yesterday when the proposal I sent out, it was only like $2,800 and some dollars for the whole thing. So it wasn't like it was this big, cleanup or a lot going into it. And yeah, right. You're right, Seth. The budget is the $1 million question. And I made the rookie mistake of not, it wasn't that I didn't want to ask it, and I should have. That's the thing. And that's what I like sharing my experience with you guys, that, hey, I make mistakes too. And that was my mistake yesterday with that, is I never asked the most important question involved after I had all those red flags pop up of what's the budget. So I want some scrutiny from you all. Text me, tell me how bad that was and what a mistake that was. You won't hurt my feelings. I know it was bad. I know it was my mistake. But at the end of the day, after I couldn't get him to have his significant other come out and do a little walking around, true that, Ben, I had to pee, man. I could tell this wasn't going anywhere. So I didn't want to waste any more time there, is what it amounts to. But I could have professionally done a better job at it. And that's what I want this story to be for you guys, is to know that whether you got 1 year experience, 10 years, 40 years, or 100 years of experience, sometimes our A game goes to a C game. We come up with a dumb excuse on why we let it go to a C game. But at the end of the day, it potentially was a decent lead that I turned into something not good because I didn't ask the proverbial question of, what's your budget? Now, I really don't know with all the other red flags. And the funny thing about this is, hell, we might sell the job. I don't know. Like I said, yesterday afternoon late, got his proposal out to him, and we'll find out. But I think, and here we go with that, right? Here we go assuming again. I think I was over what they wanted to spend, but I really don't know because I didn't ask. And I think that's what we need to think about in selling more is, are we asking the right questions? And if we're not, are you giving yourself an excuse like, I had to pee, that's why I didn't do it? And that really is the honest to God answer there. I mean, it wasn't like I was going to go to the bathroom in my pants or anything, but my dad would have bopped me in the back of the head, Pretty much that's what happened when here with this, with my crew here. They bopped me in the back of the head because I didn't follow the best sales procedures in the world, but also had a lot of red flags popping up. And, I should have discussed the fact that we don't itemize our proposals, and I didn't do that. So I really didn't give myself a chance to succeed. That's what I'm really saying, is I didn't give myself a chance to succeed, because although sometimes we get red flags from a customer or potential customer when we're talking to them, if we do our job as a salesperson, I could have knocked those red flags down by First of all, identifying that, hey, we don't itemize our projects. And that's something we don't do generally. 99% of the time, we do not itemize something for somebody. Now, based on things that they want set up as an option on a job, like this guy wanted, mulching as an option. He said, hey, I'm not sure if we want to remulch after you do all this cleanup, because we had put some mulch down back in March. And this was that bag Thornton's cheap mulch, that's bad shape. It's going to need to be mulched. And I did tell him that. I said, I said, because when we do this trimming on all these deciduous type plants, there's going to be some material left behind that is, not going to be cleaned up, if you will. You guys know what I'm talking about. There's always some that's going to be left behind, and it's always best to just top dress it with some mulch to finish the job and clean it up. Because like I told him, if I'm pulling up in front of your home, it's fine that things look trimmed out, but they need to look well. I don't know. Let's see what we got here. That's it. Intuitively, your experience left because of autopilot. You knew he was a no. Your experience stopped you long before you took on bad money. Well, I appreciate that aspect of it. But still, I feel bad because I didn't procedurally do what I should have done from a sales perspective with it. And it could have, I don't know, maybe I'd have spent maybe it did save me some time. I don't know. Maybe I'd have spent another 30 or 40 useless minutes there by talking more and answering or creating more questions. But at the end of the day, and I know you guys can appreciate this, at the end of the day, I just feel like I let myself down more than I let the consumer down by not following proper protocol from a sales process. That's just it. And that's what bothers me a little bit about it more than anything, quite honestly, is knowing that I kind of let myself down on the project. But I will keep you all posted on it. I will keep you posted on it and let you know how it goes. But as things do turn around and the phone does start ringing a little bit more, and I think as a summary for our show today, let's look at it from a couple different perspectives, if we could. Number one is, I think we look at it from the standpoint of calls or leads coming in, whether they're phone calls, emails, whatever they are, however the leads being generated. Some are good, some are bad. We're going to get some in where regardless, the lead generation is going to be different. Okay. But know that all leads aren't going to be good leads. All sales aren't going to be good sales. Now, something that I do believe in, though, is that all accounts are green. So if we do want to put a client on, and we do go through the sales process and they sign a contract, and we're there providing service, regardless of what type of service it is, whether it's, fert and weed or lighting or mowing or whatever it is, we need to do it to the best of our ability to try to satisfy the customer, but also be smart enough to realize, just like Craig's case that he shared with me this morning, sometimes you're just not going to make them all happy. That's the reality too. And know that all opportunities are not a good opportunity. Ben, I appreciate that. Ben said, don't beat yourself up, brother. There's always another one. That's right. That's something that Steve Rush used to talk about all the time. My buddy passed away several years ago, but I respected him. I liked him. He was a good friend, and he was a great salesperson with Davis Electronics here in Louisville, which they sold two-way radio communications. But he taught me that, and what he said, Wayne, in selling, just remember, some will, some won't, so what? And sounds arrogant a little bit, but the reality of it is, as salespeople, we got to have thick skin. We learn from our experiences. I learned from that experience yesterday that I didn't do the best I could do, certainly. Wasn't even close to my best. But for whatever excuses you give yourself, if it's as dumb as I had to pee, or whatever the excuse is, excuses can be unlimited. You know, Kyle says, man, we got to write that one down. That we hadn't used that one before. But the point is, know what you did wrong, know what you could have done better, even to professionally back out of that situation. And from there, we move forward. And the next one could be the yes. So to Ben's point, to me, saying, hey, Wayne, don't beat yourself up. I don't want you to beat yourself up either. But what I want you to do is stay consistent. Stay consistent. And I stay pretty consistent. You know, and not know you stay pretty consistent, but also be open-minded enough to know that sometimes you're not on your A game and you got to fix something. And don't give yourself a dumbass excuse like I had to pee as to why it didn't go well. With that being said, you guys have a great day. Appreciate you listening. Appreciate all the text. Be sure to share Turfs Up Radio with all your friends. Looking forward to talking to you guys Friday. And in the meantime, be safe. And remember, profit is not a dirty word.